Camping in the Woods Horror Stories, 3-part series. Part 1, The Uninvited Guest. The flickering campfire light cast grotesque shadows on the trees surrounding our campsite, their gnarled branches clawing at the twilight sky. Laughter, once vibrant and echoing through the woods, had dwindled to nervous chuckles. The silence of the woods, usually punctuated by the chirping of crickets and the rustle of leaves, had grown heavy, pressing in on us like a suffocating blanket. An unease churned in my stomach, a feeling that had been steadily growing since we'd strayed off the familiar trail earlier that day. It all started with Liam, the self-proclaimed daredevil of our group. With a mischievous glint in his eyes, he'd announced spotting a faint, pulsating light flickering in the distance, a beacon cutting through the deepening twilight. Curiosity, that insatiable itch we all knew too well, had gotten the better of us. We'd convinced ourselves it was just some natural phenomenon, a trick of the fading light. So, with youthful bravado masking a healthy dose of foolishness, we ventured deeper into the woods. The well-worn path soon became a maze of tangled undergrowth and gnarled tree roots that snagged at our clothes and tripped our every step. The air grew thick and humid, the playful chirping of birds replaced by an unsettling stillness. There was something about the silence in this part of the woods, a heavy, expectant silence that made our voices sound hollow when we spoke. We exchanged nervous glances, the playful banter of the afternoon fading with each passing minute. The light grew stronger with each step, pulling us deeper into the heart of the forest. Soon, we stumbled upon an abandoned cabin, a sight that sent shivers dancing down my spine. It was a ramshackle structure, its windows boarded shut, paint peeling like sunburnt skin. It stood isolated in a small clearing, a monument to forgotten memories, and radiated an unsettling aura that made the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. Despite Sarah's growing unease, a voice that usually resonated with us all, we decided to investigate. We pushed aside a loose board, the groan of rusty nails echoing in the cavernous stillness like a banshee's wail. Inside, the air hung thick with dust and the smell of damp earth. Cobwebs draped from the rafters like ghostly curtains, catching the flickering beams of our flashlights. The furniture was overturned, as if ransacked by unseen hands in a fit of rage. On the peeling wallpaper, cryptic symbols were etched, swirling lines and pictograms that spoke of a language unknown. An unsettling feeling clawed at me. It wasn't just the abandoned cabin or the eerie symbols. It was a sense of being watched, of unseen eyes following our every move. As we ventured deeper, the floorboards creaked ominously beneath our feet, each groan amplifying the silence that pressed in on us. From unseen corners came whispers, faint scratching sounds that sent goosebumps erupting on my skin. These weren't the familiar sounds of settling wood, they were deliberate, malicious sounds that chilled me to the bone. Suddenly, Liam let out a strangled gasp, the sound echoing through the dusty cabin. We found him staring at a hidden room, a small alcove tucked away behind a dusty tapestry that looked like it hadn't been disturbed in decades. Inside, lay a dusty gramophone and a single, cracked record. With trembling hands, Liam placed the record on the gramophone, cranked the handle, and a scratchy hiss filled the air, a sound that made us all cringe. Then, the voice started. It wasn't human, not in the traditional sense. It was a guttural rasp, a language that twisted and contorted, sending shivers down my spine like 1,000 tiny spiders scuttling across my skin. The voice chanted, picking up pace, growing frantic with each passing second. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end as the air around us grew thick with an unseen energy. Objects toppled over, doors slammed shut on their own. We stumbled back, fear turning our legs to jelly. Panic replaced curiosity. We scrambled out of the cabin, the forest a maze of looming shadows in the fading light. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sounded amplified, our imaginations conjuring menacing shapes in the gathering darkness. Then came the scream. A blood-curdling wail that tore through the stillness, sending chills down to my bone. It was Ben. My heart hammered against my ribs as we searched for him, calling his name until our voices were hoarse and raw. There was no answer, only the mocking silence of the forest. The only sign of him was a single, strange footprint near the cabin. Unlike any human footprint I'd ever seen, it was elongated, with 3 distinct, claw-like toes that left an oily, black residue on the damp earth. Panic clawed at my throat, constricting my airways like icy fingers. We huddled together, our backs against each other, the weight of the unknown pressing down on us with a suffocating intensity. As the night deepened, the temperature plummeted, and a chilling fog rolled in, blanketing the forest in an eerie white silence. The fog was unlike anything I'd ever encountered, thick and opaque, muffling all sound except the frantic pounding of my own heart. We couldn't stay. This place, this forest, held a darkness, a malice that threatened to consume us whole. With heavy hearts, we packed up our camp. Our playful weekend trip turned into a nightmare. We stumbled back towards the familiar trail, every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sending our nerves into overdrive. The forest, once a welcoming haven, now seemed to mock us with its twisted branches and gnarled roots reaching out like skeletal fingers. Just as we reached the edge of the woods, the first rays of dawn painted the sky in soft pastel hues. Exhausted and shaken, we collapsed onto the grassy clearing, the warmth of the sun offering a fragile comfort. But the memory of Ben's scream, the chilling footprint, and the voice that echoed in the abandoned cabin remained etched in our minds. We returned home, a shadow hanging over us. The camping trip, a carefree adventure planned with friends, had left an indelible mark. We never spoke of what happened in the woods in detail, the experience too horrifying, too strange to translate into words. But deep down, we all knew something had changed. The bond of friendship that had once held us together seemed frayed, tainted by the unspoken fear that lingered in our eyes. Sleep became a luxury, replaced by haunted dreams of the abandoned cabin, the chanting voice, and the sight of Ben's desperate face. Days turned into weeks, the horrors of the woods slowly receding into the background of our daily lives. Yet, a part of us remained trapped there, an unsettling feeling that something was watching, waiting. Then, one evening, Liam received a package in the mail. Inside, wrapped in brown paper, lay the cracked record from the hidden room in the cabin. A note scrawled on a piece of weathered parchment lay beside it. It was written in the same swirling symbols we'd seen etched on the walls, symbols that seemed to burn themselves into Liam's mind with each passing second. Panic choked him as he recognized the language, the same guttural speech that had filled the cabin with unseen malevolent energy. His trembling hands reached for the translator app on his phone, desperately trying to decipher the cryptic message. As he typed in the symbols, a cold sweat plastered itself to his skin. The translation came back in a single chilling sentence: "The offering is incomplete. You must return."